Welcome to Driving with Todd, and I'm Todd. So today we're going to listen to King Crimson. King Crimson is one of my favorite bands. Now you probably say, Todd, just about every group that you've played so far, you've said this is one of your favorite bands. Well, King Crimson is very special to me. They're definitely in my top 10 of favorite groups. And I really enjoy their music because it's always different. When you buy a King Crimson album, you don't know what you're going to get. It's kind of a throw the genres up in the air and see how they fall on the ground. So how did I get into King Crimson? Well, I have mentioned on other videos that when I see an album cover that I really like, I go, wow, that is a cool cover. I got to listen to that album. So the only way I can listen to it is if I buy it. You didn't have streaming back then. This is 1969. This album came out in 1969 that I'm going to be talking about. So I would buy them. I would buy an album based on its cover, take it home, listen to it, and if I didn't like it, I'd play it over and over and over until I did like it, because I didn't want to spend money on something that I would never listen to. I was too cheap. So, with that said, I want to just show you this. This is the first King Crimson album. It's called In the Court of the Crimson King. So, when I walked into the store where I buy my records, and I bought them from several different stores in the area, this was in the rack of one of those stores, and I saw the cover and I said, holy cow, that is a wild cover. Look at that guy on he's like screaming in pain or something, but it is totally wild. And the back is totally wild as well. It's just like his ear. So when you open up the bifold sleeve, you kind of get this whole picture here, okay? It's just like, I gotta have that. I mean, that is just unbelievable cover for an album. And so I bought it and took it home and played it, and the first song is kind of like a heavy metal song. It's called 21st Century Schizoid Man. If you've never heard 21st Century Schizoid Man, you have to hear it. It is classic. It is the first song on the first side of their first album, King Crimson's first album, and it is a heavy metal song with the weirdest vocals you've ever heard. It's like they're going through a grinder. Great song. But there are so many different genres on this album. There's light songs with flute. The second side, there's a song called Moonchild with the most strange instrumental piece that an album will ever have. And it's just amazing. I remember taking this album to school after I bought it and playing it for some of my friends, and they're going, oh my, what is that? How can you even listen to that? That is so bizarre. And, they're still listening to Creedence Clearwater Revival, Cream, Jimi Hendrix, things of that nature, which just doesn't even fit in. So this is a progressive rock group. They're considered progressive rock, and they were one of the first progressive rock groups. So that's In the Court of the Crimson King. We're not going to play a song off of this one. The second album was called In the Wake of Poseidon. I didn't really care for that album as much, simply because it was almost a duplicate of this album. Different names of songs, different lyrics in the songs, but it followed the same pattern as this album. And I thought, oh, that's kind of boring. It had a great cover, but the music didn't excite me as much. Then their third album that they put out was called Lizard. And again, when that came out, it has the coolest cover. I mean, this cover is just prime. I mean, it is excellent. There's a lot of detail. Here's the back. So on the back it says King. If you can kind of maybe make it out. It says King. And on the front it says Crimson. And there's little pictures. I'll see if you can see some detail there. That's from the song called Circus, which is on the first side of the album. Each of the pictures duplicates one of the songs on the album. Here we have some cows and other items within the detail. It's a phenomenal album. It is by far my favorite King Crimson album. When I heard this, it was like, oh my, they took a leap of faith from In the Wake of Poseidon to Lizard. It's just phenomenal. After this album, they put out an album called Island, which was also a very good album, totally different from this album. And then an album called Red, which again was a kind of a more of a heavy guitar driven album, where this and Islands are more of a softer album. And then they broke up. They got back together in the 80s, put out 3 more albums. Of course, the group always has Robert Fripp. Robert Fripp's the drive behind King Crimson. He's the guitarist. So each one of the albums, the ones I'm talking about, each have different band members. But the constant between each album is Robert Fripp. And what's unique with the first album is Greg Lake is on this one. He was on this album prior to moving to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And he does some really great stuff. He wrote some really good songs on this album as well. So, with that said, I want to play a song off of Lizard. When I bought this, I thought it was going to be the typical King Crimson album. It was totally different than the first 2, but the vocal style throughout the first side was pretty much the same. It was the same vocalist. Then I put on the second side, and the song is called Prince Rupert Awakes. And I put it on, and I'm going, I know that voice. I know that voice. It was Jon Anderson from Yes. And it was like, I didn't know he was on it. So I quickly opened up the album, and I look, and sure enough, Jon Anderson from Yes has the vocals on Prince Rupert Awakes. And if you know Yes, another progressive rock group, and you know Jon Anderson's voice, it's a very, very, very unique voice. He's one of those guys where you hear his voice and you know it's Yes. It's not like you're hearing the music and you know it's Yes. It's the voice that sells the band. And that's what sold that song to me. It's like, wow, that's so different in vocal style to anything else that King Crimson has ever done. So, with that said, what I want to do is I want to play Prince Rupert Awakes. Now, the video I'm using, somebody actually ripped the song off of a vinyl album, so you hear a little bit of crackling, but I think it has the cleanest sound of any of the other videos that I watched for this song. It's just very, very clean and very, very nice. So sit back and let me pop this open, and we'll start playing Prince Rupert Awakes. Close your eyes and listen. It's just a great song.
Farewell, the temple master's bell. His kiosk and his black worm seed. Courtship solely of his word, with Eden guaranteed. For now, Prince Rupert's tears are make saffron Sabbath islet scar the sacred tablet, which the lizards feed.
Okay, I want to just kind of stop it right there. Love this beginning of this song, where this piano comes in and is just kind of playing and drawing you into the song, and immediately Jon Anderson's vocals come in and he starts singing the song. And I don't know about you, but it kind of sends chills up my spine. I just think his voice with the piano, and then as this thing progresses into all the other instrumentations, and he keeps on singing, is just so well put together. It's just a tremendous song. So I want to start it over because I just love this beginning. The first minute is just perfect on this song.
Farewell, the temple master's bell. His kiosk and his black worm seed. Courtship solely of his word, with Eden guaranteed. For reason's hollow boat, where your blizzard season cold. Burn a bridge and burn a boat, stake a lizard by the throat. Polonius for you, the reapers name their harvest done. Oh, your tarnished deviled spoons will rust beneath our corn. Now bears Prince Rupert's garden low, across his lone tree shaded lawn. Lizard bones become the and there the swan is born. Wake your reason's hollow boat, where your blizzard season cold. Burn a bridge and burn a boat, stake a lizard by the throat.
Just want to stop it right there. I love that the bass in there is just tremendous. If you listen to the bass line, it's really good. Again, this is off of vinyl, but I think it brings the presence of the song much better than any of the digital ones that I listened to. They kind of slurred the song, but the bass is just tremendous. And then that backwards guitar, Robert for playing the guitar backwards. Well, he's physically isn't playing it backwards, but I think they're recording and then moving it backwards. But it's just so well. That instrumentation is just so well. And then that drummer's just right on. It's just like they're right there. I mean, they're just like you're on top of the drum set when they're playing. Just so good. Just gonna move that back a little bit. Play that section over. Right there.
Wake your reason's hollow boat, where your blizzard season cold. Burn a bridge and burn a boat, stake a lizard by the Gone soon, pipe out as moss we court, round which upholstered lizards soared. Visions to the leaden flow of rainbows and gold. Tell tales, Prince Rupert's peacock bring, of walls and trumpets thousandfold. Prophets chain for burning, and wheels of crimson roll.
Okay, that was the Prince Rupert Awakes part of the song. The whole second side is called Lizard, and it's various songs put together. So this segues into a very a longer instrumental piece that King Crimson is very well known for their instrumental pieces, where they start doing some real intricate jazz and progressive rock. And you listen to it and you go, well, how did they ever think of that? How did they ever put that together? So, Prince Rupert Awakes, great song, a great album. The Lizard album is just a phenomenal album. Again, my favorite King Crimson album. So, I always wanted to see King Crimson live because I would like to know how do they perform some of this intricate music that they do live without having every piece of instruments that you can think of in the world on stage with them. So they came to Chicago in September of 2019. And my daughter and I went down there because it was something I've always wanted to see was King Crimson. So went down to Chicago to see them, and they were just phenomenal. They had 3 drummers, and the drummers were up front, and behind them was the band. And Robert Fripp, he sits and plays guitar. I mean, he just sat and he played guitar the whole time. Jaco, who was a singer with Stiff Records, he then joined King Crimson and plays guitar and sings. And Mel Collins was a sax player and keyboard player from the second King Crimson album. He was on stage with them as well. Just phenomenal. They did over 2 hours of music, and it was incredible how when they did a song, it sounded just like the album. It's like, how did they do that? I mean, that's just phenomenal. So I was able to see my King Crimson. I'm good now for a long time. I don't need to see another group for a while unless something really special comes around, like, you know, the Beatles getting back together or something like that. So I'm glad that you could drive with me through Prince Rupert Awakes. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like button down below. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to build up my subscriptions. And you can help me do that by subscribing. But what that will also help you do is get notified that I have a new video coming out. Or you can take a look at my back catalog videos as well. If you have any comments about King Crimson, Prince Rupert, things that you've experienced with that group, put it in the comments below. I'd really appreciate it. That'd be really cool. And that's it for today. I'm going to be out of here, and it's snowing outside, so I'll have to check and see how much snow accumulated. I'm hoping none because I don't want to shovel. And with that said, you guys have a great day. Keep on smiling. Remember, when you smile, everybody smiles. It's very contagious. Smiles are contagious. And we'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody. Peace out.